Warning. This podcast is about to open the sealed section of spirituality.
Hey you, yeah you, we see you, you divine human being.
And we are calling you to come home.
We are ready to talk about the real shit. We're going to get real about life as a divine human being.
The good, the not so great, spirituality and taboo. Divinely Human is the podcast that's all about what it means to be human in a spiritual context.
We know it's not just about being spiritual, it's about being human too.
And that means changing poopy nappies and channeling angels.
Sometimes even at the same time. It's time for us to stop making other people's noise our own soundtrack of life.
Let's make some waves together so that we can all ride them together and create deep resonance, a sense of home in this crazy world.
Pour yourself a coffee
Or a glass of wine if that's your potion.
and sit down with your new favorite spiritual sisters
As we go on a journey together into what it means to be
a divine human being.
on this spiritual journey.
Hey guys, and welcome to the Divinely Human podcast. I'm Aleisha.
And I'm Tanita.
And we are going to be diving into week 3 of our astrology series that we're currently doing at the moment. This week, decided that we want to dive into the 12 zodiac signs and just unpack a little bit about, their higher octaves, their lower octaves. We're probably going to be moving through this quite quickly because there are 12 to get through. But we just wanted to start a conversation on the fact that every sign has good bits, every sign has not so great bits, maybe challenging bits, and it's important to discuss that. But also we thought that it would be really, really helpful for you guys too, because a lot of the time we find it really difficult to sort of identify those styles and to see what we may be doing or thinking or what lens we're viewing the world through, and it can be really confusing. So we thought that it would be really fun to dive into this and to kind of unpack them a little bit and see what both of our lenses are on this, because I know that we're both so the same. It's kind of like weird, but we're both like yin yang energy. So I thought that it would be really cool to dive into it and get both of our POVs on the 12 zodiac signs.
I also want to add to that because I always see astrologers posting and saying 5 positive traits about this and 5 negative traits about that. And I know you hold a similar kind of perspective. I don't believe there is necessarily negatives and positives to anything. I just believe that in terms of personality traits, I just believe at some points we are kind of expressing ourselves from a lower octave, possibly not in alignment with the highest possible frequency that we could emit here on Earth. And that's okay too. So if you notice any of these lower octaves that are coming out in your personality or anywhere in your life, this is just a reflection point, and this is just to bring awareness and love and a little bit of transparency, because let's face it, we are fucking human and we feel those lower octaves, and that's totally okay.
Yeah, I love that you just put that beautiful Pisces twist on it.
As always.
It felt like a really big hug.
Good.
So let's start straight off the bat with beautiful Aries. I feel let's keep it linear here, guys.
Yeah. We'll start at the beginning of the wheel. What we were thinking is we'll do 2 kind of higher octaves and 2 lower octaves each, so you can kind of get both of our perspectives on it. And of course, if any come up for you, let us know in the Spotify comments what you think are the higher and lower octaves of each zodiac sign. I think it would be really cool to see everybody's perspective on this as well.
Yeah, and also tell us if you feel really called out. Because I know that I'm probably about to be as well. So.
All right, you kick it off.
Okay, I'll kick it off. So Aries, 2 higher octaves that through my lens when I think about Aries is really, really fucking brave, really, really courageous, and that's 2. I'm not going to keep going on. Brave and courageous. I feel like there's this inner confidence that Aries have without even oozes from just from their pores. and I look up to it so much. I'm like,
yes.
oh, I just love that energy. It's very intimidating sometimes, I feel. Which leads me to my 2 low, which would be probably really impulsive. And sometimes they can come across a little bit selfish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, totally right.
Sorry.
I would agree with all of those. For me, it's that ability to go steadfast in whatever direction they choose. I feel like Aries are really good at choosing whatever they want, and they're really deeply connected with that desire to move and to go in a particular direction. So for me, it's that inner confidence, but in terms of making decisions and going in a particular direction with their life. And I also really admire their bravery as well. Totally admire their bravery, their ability to not overthink situations as well and just go for what they want. But sometimes it really does lead to a little bit of closed-mindedness and this sometimes lack of thinking about how their actions affect other people. So slightly can be closed-minded. And a lower octave of Aries that I have particularly seen is this kind of perspective that everybody is just enrolled to help them go in a particular direction. Like we are all just minions of Aries and we are helping them on their way. I've definitely experienced that before. And that is, not always bad, but it's not always great either.
Yeah, I feel like probably 80% of their motivation and their fiery energy comes from the fact that sometimes it's kind of like they have blinders on.
Yes.
So it's like they have this innate ability to just block out everything else and be so fixated on their path and how they want everyone around them to help them and serve them. And
yes,
as an Aries, that's probably like, that must feel amazing,
I know.
But
and like it
for us,
totally
it's like...
serves. Yes, and it totally serves in particular scenarios. Like if you are a leader, if you are a business person, if you're a manager, these are all qualities that you would want, somebody in a leadership position to have, but in a dynamic kind of like role with somebody else, it's always kind of like feels like pressure from the other person, if that makes sense.
I feel that. I really do. Well, I mean, I think we covered that perfectly.
Yeah, love you, Aries.
Love you. We love you. Moving on. Taurus.
Oh, I love Taurus energy.
I think I hate it from memory from our conversations.
I love
Sorry
that.
how that came out.
You're like, I don't really vibe with that.
I don't know. I don't hate it. I just haven't had the best experience.
Really?
I feel so bad now.
No,
Anyway,
don't. We're not meant to vibe with every single energy. Like, that would be crazy.
Anyway, I don't want to go too far into that because I know that we've spoken about it in a podcast that we've recorded. So we'll keep that tight-lipped until we want to spill more of the tea. But I feel like, okay, Taurus energy. For me, I feel like Taurus energy is even more earth than Virgo in some ways. Like they're so grounded and like there's this strength about them as well that I just really feel in my bones when I'm around them. So I guess that is a really positive thing that I find in them. I feel like I am, there's this confidence in them that I guess when you're, I compare a lot to Virgo sun here. So, and obviously, so I'm like, I like to compare with my other elements. But yeah, I feel really grounded, really practical. They just know what's up. Like they're the confidence that comes that I feel like I don't have a lot of the time in my groundedness. I just look up to that. Lower octave, I feel Taurus can be quite, stubborn. Everyone says that. But also sometimes I feel like they can get caught up in like the material things sometimes. There's that aspect as witnessed, and I guess in my time looking over charts and stuff, I can see where that energy plays out. So I feel like they kind of with the lower octave, they kind of really need to rein themselves in sometimes when it comes to that sort of stuff. How you feeling about that?
Yeah, I totally would agree. For me and the Tauruses that I know, a lot of them are in it for the long haul. Like, you can always count on a Taurus to be there and be in it for the long run. Like, you never have to worry or be concerned about their loyalty or their longevity in a situation. They have this really incredible ability to just, yes, go for something, but sometimes it takes them a minute to like make their mind up because they are very slow moving. But once they're in it, you can really trust that they're in it for a long, long time. And I really appreciate that about Taurus energy. And another high octave, I think, is their ability to be just so lively. Like, they really do embody such an earthly nature, and I feel like when they are lit up and when they're looking after themselves, when they're healthy and they're vital, they really do have this incredible ability to lift up your spirit and just exude this like high frequency energy. It's really not something that they contain, it's something that they really allow themselves to express out into the world. But I also have seen Tauruses take a really long time to make their mind up or change out of a situation. Sometimes they can get very complacent with where they're at and just focus on the one foot in front of the other. And sometimes this leads to them like not really making a move when they know it's right for them. Change is very scary for Taurus. And sometimes it makes them stay in a particular situation that's not actually healthy for them or not in their highest alignment. So I think the lower octaves of a Taurus kind of energy is, their frequency or their mentality to overthink and not change when they need to. Would you agree with that?
I agree with that. And to add on to that, I feel like because they can hold off that sort of, decision-making process and that sort of thing and kind of like bury it down and just like not want to do it, when it does happen, it can feel like a firecracker. And everyone around them feels the ripples of that like shockwave that goes through of like them finally snapping into a decision or doing the thing that they said they were going to do that is affected when it happens because they've just, it can be so sudden, but also so drawn out. I feel that, and I've seen that in a lot of Taurus suns mostly.
Yeah. Yes. Ooh, all right, Gemini. Now, I know this one might be a little bit spicy. Gemini energy, I love you. I'm not coming at you, okay? But I will start with high. I absolutely love Gemini's ability to collaborate and connect other people. And I really, really love their ability to synthesize information. They have this incredible ability to take very broad ideas, like the opposite of Sagittarius, who likes to go really deep into the detail and kind of dig their toes into everything. Gemini can take those really broad, deep, expansive ideas and bring it down in a way that's so simple and easy to digest. So I love that. But lower octaves of Gemini energy is when they're not tapped into their heart and into their true desires, it can come off like they are the trickster or very kind of surface level and gossipy and kind of out of touch with that deeper part of themselves. So yeah, I've definitely experienced that with Gemini energy. What about you?
Oh, yeah, this is the one for me because I live in a house full of Geminis minus one Libra. So like everyone is a fucking Gemini. My partner's Gemini, so I feel like I'm qualified for this conversation right now. Just agree with everything that you just said. Oh my God. But also, yeah, if you like, I guess higher octave wise, they are there. Like they are so, I find them really reliable when it comes to like helping. They are so helpful. They just want to help everyone, which leads to like maybe a lower octave is that like they just want to be helping everyone. And then it leaves nothing in their own cup, and then they complain 24/7 about like, oh God, I'm so exhausted, I'm so tired. And it's like, you've literally just spent most of your life helping everybody else except yourself, and then it can lead to sometimes a little bit of growth problems. Like on a soul level. I just got this
Gemini
image
people
of,
are very short.
All these little midgets walking. No, I'm sure there's very tall ones out there, but I'm crying. But I just, a lot of the time they struggle to prioritize their time and kind of allocate their time properly, and then everyone else around them feels that. They're amazing networkers though. Oh my goodness. You need something, they will know the person that can help you with that. Everybody, they're like the butterfly, the social butterfly that everyone knows, and also has like, they leave a really good imprint in other people's minds, I feel, because they're just so approachable, you know, they just don't shut up. But you know, that's that. I agree with you on said. I really feel that with the lower octave is that sometimes they can come across like superficial sometimes in a way. That kind of like surface level kind of energy, because of, you know, the fact that they be in 1,000 places at once and don't think things through properly. Sometimes they're very impulsive. That's another lower octave. But deeply introspective, deeply like, I admire how much that Geminis love to learn, immerse themselves in that. Amazing writers, amazing speakers. Such a gift though. Yeah.
Totally. I get really envious of Gemini's ability to just walk into any social situation and be like, hey, what's up? And like make connections instantly. I'm like, how do you do that? I honestly envy it. But it's incredible to see out in the world. So love you, Geminis, as well. What about Cancer? Cancer's an interesting one. I've got a lot of Cancer people in my life, a lot of Cancer energy around. Ooh. And higher octaves for me is like high and low at the same time. I feel like their ability to be so emotional and sensitive can be such a high, but it can be also such a low. And the reason why I say this is because they're so mindful about the people around them, but if they're not really keen and aware of their own boundaries and what they need to manage their own energy and emotions, sometimes this can lead to like a really low energy state in them. So that's a bit of a high and a low. But I also love how caring, obviously, and nurturing they are. I mean, they're the mother archetype of the Zodiac. They're so nurturing. And if you ever needed just a big, warm soul hug, definitely go and spend some time around a Cancer energy, because you will feel just so nurtured. But a lower octave for me that I've seen in Cancer energy is also sometimes there's this tendency to wait to move and more to spend a lot of time introspecting and kind of sitting with the emotions and overthinking. And sometimes this can lead to a lack of movement in the actual like physical realm. What about you? How do you kind of perceive the higher and lower octaves of Cancer?
Yeah, everything you said about the higher octaves are, for me, I see that, and I experience that a lot every time I'm in the presence of, like the hugs get me into that situation. Give me all the Cancer hugs. They just know how to make people feel comfortable. Like, it's that mama energy, like big mama is in the house. Like, like even Cancer men can feel like that. But I will say, moving on to the lower octaves, we all know what we love about Cancers though. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things that are so heavily like shown in social media and stuff. Like, there's 1,000 memes about Cancers and how motherly like, and like, you're beautiful natured and supportive. Like, we know that, guys. We know how great you are. But I want to talk about some of the lower octaves now. And one of them would be, sometimes they can come across as a bit clingy in relationships and in friendships.
No, not at all.
Because it's like that mother energy. They kind of like, they want to be that person that's there for everyone else. And when that 100% becomes a little bit too much, they can come across as kind of clingy. And another lower octave is that, and this is just purely my own experience through meeting Cancers, is that a lot of them can suffer from like low self-esteem and body image issues. I find that a lot with cancers, even Cancer men as well. It's quite predominant with Cancer men that I've experienced.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me a little bit sad because every single one that I've met, minus one of my exes, is just the most beautiful soul. And I look at them and I'm like, you're so fucking gorgeous. You're so beautiful. But then they a lot of the time they can struggle with themselves. I think that is the core of it. They always pick themselves apart. And I'm like, just come here, let me give you a hug. Like, come here. So, that's probably the two lower octaves that I find stand out for me the most with cancers.
Oh my God, I have to echo that so loudly. Yes, 100%. I've seen that as well. Totally. And it's so sad because they have this incredible ability to nurture. It's almost like that Chiron wound where you're like, you have this ability, but sometimes it's really hard to give back to yourself and give yourself that same type of energy. So the cancers hurt my heart sometimes when they do that.
I know. We need a cancer support group so that we can support them sometimes. Can we start this, guys? You guys do so much. It's affecting you.
Literally.
Oh my goodness. Moving on to Leo energy. Let's light the fire. I'm gonna let you go first with this one.
Start like. All right. I'm interested. Like, Leo energy really interests me, and I think that their ability to, obviously light up a room and bring the light with them is such an admirable quality about Leo energy. And it's really beautiful to see out in the world. Their ability to just walk into a room and kind of make it their own, I think, is really powerful. I also think the ability to be seen is really such like an amazing high octave of Leo energy. They're so not afraid to be seen, especially, of course, like when they're looked after, when they're doing it for all of the reasons that are aligned for them. It's really amazing. But of course, that leads to the lower octaves, which is sometimes they have this tendency to really need approval from everybody else and validation to continue being seen. I think that just deep desire to constantly be shown that they are worthy of being here, that they are, whatever kind of wounds that they're clinging on to. I think that's something that can be expressed as a lower octave, as well as their ability to need to be seen as well. So they're kind of different. Like, the need from approval and validation from other people, that can be a lower octave, but also their tendency to want to like be in the center of the stage and be seen by other people. Those are some things that I've kind of come across as well.
Yeah, I echo that. Everything you just said, I echo. So I guess higher octave from my point of view would be, I really envy the way that they are able to express themselves. It's beautiful, and it's done with like everything that they embody. It's never half-assed. I can't speak. Never half-assed. It's always with their full fiery energy when they express, which is a beautiful, beautiful trait and a beautiful gift, because it a lot of the time gives other people the invitation to do the same. So you'll find that a lot of Leos are at the forefront of like, it's almost like they've got like all these people that are obsessed with them. which can trail up into a lower octave if it's kind of not healthy and humbleness. They're also incredibly charismatic. Like, they have so many talents. All of the Leos that I know and have met, they're so good at everything. Like, they'll have all these weird little quirky talents. Like, they can play guitar, they can paint, they're an entrepreneur, they can bloody, I don't know, dance, they can play the piano, like, they're incredible writer, like, I don't know, but they always have this big collection of different skills that they have. And I think that it's just due to them being so passionate about so many things, right?
Yes,
I want to learn all the things. I'm so passionate. Yeah, it's just this natural knack for just doing all these things and being really good at them all. Lower octave would be, I guess, echoing what you said about the attention thing. I find though, what you said, I want to add on to that. I'm agreeing and also adding on and saying that it just came through when you were speaking. What you were saying about how they like make the space to like express themselves and be seen. I feel like a lot of the time, unless they're shit of the world, they're can be a little bit like incapable of doing that. It's like to be able to hold space and like be seen, it has to be by other people. Like they can't, I'm not saying they can't full stop, but like a lot of the time they may struggle with holding a space for themselves and feeling seen just in their own, and that being enough. I feel like a lot of them don't feel like that's enough for them. They need to go and be in front of the audience, exactly what you said. So I really feel that too. I really, really agree with you there.
Yeah, that's such a good point too. Like the motives and values behind a Leo and why they're showing up, that's really so deeply important. Yeah, totally agree. And I think that's really hard. Like it's hard for anybody to really be seen for who they truly are. But when you do have so many talents and you have so many, like so much passion for being on like a stage or in a particular arena, then sometimes it is really hard to be seen for just you without the accolades and without the talent. So yeah, good point there.
Yeah, just as they are.
Yes.
We love
I wonder
you,
if
Leo.
they make good porn stars, to be honest. I wonder, I'm sorry, my mind just went there, but I reckon they would. I'm going to do some research and see. Yep, that's going to be my job this afternoon.
People, I hope no one sees your search history. Like, what the
I don't even watch porn. I don't know why that came in, but anyway.
I think it's the performance aspect into
100%.
Yeah, well, we love you, Leo, and there is so much that we admire. I feel like we need an apology after that roasting. We're sorry.
We love you. Don't worry. Virgo's about to get a roasting. Don't worry.
Fuck me. Leaving. No. Tanita will do this part on her own.
No.
Okay, moving on. Libra. Oh, Libra. I have such a soft spot for Libra. I love all Libras except my star, and he's so clingy. So clingy.
Yeah.
So clingy. And okay, let's rewind back to the start. Libra. Higher octave. Such a attention to detail. Like if I'm gonna ask anyone if I look good or if my outfit is like looking, I will be asking a Libra first and foremost. You guys, I will be straight on the phone to you guys. And also just, I don't know, I think that we do need to take a moment and appreciate the fact that sometimes they just know what's their business and what's not their business. Like they won't be like that person like diving in and like gossiping or anything or being like blah, 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 blah. Just like the observer in the group, which we love. We love that. But also lower octave wise, I feel like Libra can struggle to make decisions. They're kind of like, they want to be Switzerland. They just want to stay in the middle, which is really frustrating. So I feel that in my bones. I'm like, I don't want to get caught up in the drama. Like, I'm just happy not to make a decision. But sometimes you need to be making decisions in life and actually having an opinion on things. You can't always sit in the middle. So sorry, guys, but you do with my Libra Mars. And also they can be a little bit like materialistic and superficial sometimes. I think because they have such a high standard of beauty and like what they think is beautiful and that sometimes they can become really fixated on that. They're a little bit obsessive. They're obsessive. Oh my God, yes. I'm thinking about my child now. He is obsessive. He is obsessed with certain things to a level that I'm like, you shouldn't be obsessed to that level with, you know, anyway.
Yes, I feel that sometimes they can get really fixated on like bringing their vision to life, right? Because they see something in their mind and they're like, I have to put this into the world. And if I don't, then I'm like, you know, I'm not going to equate. So I totally see that with Libras as well. I really admire their ability to hold space for other people. I think that gets overlooked by Cancer energy, but in a partnership, they're really so like, I don't know, like I always just see them as balancing out the scales. They're never one to overpower any situation, and in a higher octave, you know, they're really good at meeting other people where they are and holding space and seeing them. And another one is to obviously beautify any situation, like their ability to come into a space and make it feel like a home and make it feel really just comfortable and luxurious and like really bring that deep feminine energy into any space is really admirable. But I think they can sometimes be codependent, right? And I mean, they learn through their relationships with other people. So sometimes it's really hard for them to understand who they are without their relationships, and understanding who they are as an individual versus who they are in a relationship can sometimes be a tricky thing to find clarity on. And I also think that, yeah, I totally agree. Like their fixation on bringing their vision to life sometimes can take them away from really being in the moment.
I agree with you. I agree with everything you just said. And I'm just cracking up because I just realized that I forgot Virgo.
Oh no, I know. I knew you did that. I was like, maybe she's just not ready to like hear what we have to say.
I was just thinking, I was like, how are we a Libra? And I'm like, oh, I just mentioned Virgo and like not even doing it. And then my brain's like, okay, cool, write it off. We're not doing it. And I'm like, Libra. Honestly, honest to God, I only just realized that I did that talking and I was like, really? Hell yes.
I was like, she's too far gone. Maybe she needs a minute to recoup and swallow her pride before we talk about the lower octaves.
Oh my God. Sorry for everyone who's listening to this and thought that it would be in this linear fashion and all of a sudden we're just like, whoop, skip. So we're going to trail back now. Just swallowing my pride. Trailing back now, we're going to do Virgo and then we'll jump ahead to Scorpio. Apologies for that, guys. Honestly, my subconscious is like, don't you dare start on Virgo. Let's start on.
I love. Well, I think you have, you know, the best kind of evidence to share on Virgo.
Yeah, but it's so biased.
True.
Okay, all right, let's do this. Whew. Virgo. Hello, Virgos who are listening. Love you, but you're about to get roasted. I'm probably going to roast you as well because I actually drive myself crazy, to be honest. I do. All my Virgo traits drive me crazy. And I'm sure that a lot of other Virgos feel that way too. So higher octaves. I feel like we have really great foresight when it comes to things. Like if someone is needing advice or something, it's like we already know the outcome, so we can guide quite well. Just because it's kind of our senses and how we look at situations. It's like the mathematics is behind the scenes doing its thing. And then it delivers the answer into our brains. And we're like, yeah, I can tell that that's going to happen with that situation. So you should probably go about it that way. And, you know, there you go. And they're like, wow, thank you so much. So I feel like we're great at that. We're fabulous.
Fabulous at that.
Fabulous at that. God, I feel like all of our higher octaves can be put into lower octaves as well if we do it too much. But I was going to say like our sense of like detail and like the level of detail and eye for detail that we have is a really beautiful thing. But it can also be a curse as well as a blessing. So I'm going to go straight into the lower octaves. And that's number one. I feel like we can just linger so much on wanting effect that we either don't do with them at all or we waste so much time and we end up being really time poor, really exhausted, and just an absolute mess because we're very like punctual when it comes to our time and things like that. We're Virgos are very, very opinionated. I have to pull myself up all of the time. I'm like, don't judge, just be an observer. That is your job. You're not here to judge all the time. We come to opinions really fast when it comes to things. I think because we can kind of, well, when it comes to foresight and things like that, we have this knack of like knowing people's intentions before they even speak them. And I think that that can sometimes lead us to making opinions and assumptions about people before we even get to know them. Because I'm like, I know what your intention is or our intention is, and it's amazing. Like, you're amazing. But yeah, we need to pull ourselves back when it comes to forming judgments and opinions and like just being so analytical because, whoops.
I would say that like that's actually a high octave for me because, and this is why, I think an ability to have a really formulated opinion is such an incredible ability. However, when it's like when it's met with also the ability to have an open mind. So I totally get how it can slide into a lower octave. I think closed-mindedness and just like sticking to an opinion because you've said that, like earthy, stubborn energy can sometimes slip into a low octave. But I love your ability to have an opinion. Like, I love your ability to, or Virgo's ability to kind of think about a situation and really like stand on a particular side. If there was anyone I was going to choose to support me in like in any type of mediation or like going for what I want, I would want a Virgo on my side because they have the most incredible ability to create evidence and create an argument as to why their opinion is so fucking good. And that is so important to have in this world. Like, it truly is. I think that Virgo's ability to take away anything that doesn't matter and just cut through straight to the heart of what's happening in any situation is so valuable and so admirable too. I mean, this is coming from the opposite sign of Virgo where I like full off is part of my second name. Like, honestly, Virgo's ability to just like get to the point is so incredible. But lower octave, I think that because they are very strategic and analytical thinkers, sometimes it can lead into overthinking and not actually making any moves. And of course, the like negative self-talk, I think, can be really high for Virgo because they have such a high standard and they put that pressure on themselves to meet a standard. And if they don't meet that, it's like do or die, right? So I think Virgos can be kinder to themselves.
Yeah. And what just came through when you said that was like, if you think we judge you guys harshly, times that by 100. Yeah, times that by 100, and that's how much we judge ourselves before we even think about, you know, judging anyone else. And it can be really heavy and really hard. And as well, like same with Cancer, you can be really like that hard on yourself that you just constantly have like all, you know, a few issues when it comes to self-image and self-confidence and things like that because you're just like, you're not perfect.
Yes, exactly. We love you, Virgos. You guys really are such a pillar of society.
Thank you. Thank you. You actually were so nice then. I love that. Wow. I'm glad we're loved by you, at least.
By all Pisces. I feel like Pisces and Virgos always go well together. What about Scorpio? I feel like Scorpio is one of those signs you either love them or you hate them. And I think the reason is because they are not afraid to either exude or portray that they have power and that they have, you know, this kind of mindset that they belong here and they are meant to be here. I feel like with some Scorpio energy in a high octave, there's no question about their place in a particular situation. They're like, I'm here, I'm going to make it really good. And that's really admirable. I think also Scorpio's ability to really take any situation and this is kind of high or low, and go deep with it, right? Sometimes deepness can be such a really amazing quality, and other times it can lead to overthinking and spiraling, of course, but their ability to just go deep is so amazing, and I love seeing that. And then with the lower octave, I think that because they do understand that the power they hold, or at least on a subconscious level, sometimes it can come across as they feel like they're above you, or they can kind of be standoffish. In my experience, Scorpios don't think that. It's just something that they exude sometimes. And then lower octave is obviously going deep and allowing their mind to kind of spiral. What about you? What do you reckon?
Yeah, I agree with that. First of all, if you're a Scorpio, man or woman, I have a crush on you. I love Scorpios. I think it's a problem. I think I need like a group. You know how you're like love or hate? I'm like, I'm love or love. Me or the Scorpios. Put me in a room full of Scorpios. Love them. I love the intensity. Which again can be seen as a high or a low octave. I love the intensity. They're so deeply transformational in their presence, and I think that's a real gift that Scorpios hold, is that through their ability to dive deep, they also give other people the permission to go that deep with them. It's like they're like they're the tunnel borers shining the light down there, and they're kind of clearing the way for others to explore those realms as well. I love Scorpio. I always look at Scorpio like, yeah, you're either going to love or hate them. But even if you dislike them, you will learn to love energy if you learn the lessons that are there for you to learn when it comes to lots of shadow work, lots of deep diving. They're amazing seers and healers, I find, Scorpios. And also, if you're close to you, they're amazing conversationalists. Like, they can hold space for you to speak about anything, and you will feel so held, but also be prepared for them to give their 2 cents and knock you back into line when they feel like they need to do that. I actually really love Scorpios. I think as a Virgo, I really appreciate the courage that takes to like put that across to somebody when they feel like it's due. So I love that. I could just go on and on about the things that I love, but let's go to the lower. Otherwise it'll be a Scorpio podcast. But I think they can come across very standoffish. Sometimes that they will say something to you and you're like, oh god, do they have their shits with me? But they don't.
Hate me?
They can come across so short, and like you're like, as a Virgo, I'm like, I love to expand my communication. Like, I will tell somebody something that should be used with 1 sentence, and it'll be like a whole paragraph, and they're like, bro, you could have just said that.
Yeah, say what you mean, right? Not say like what the other person wants to hear and then what you mean in the middle.
Absolutely. And I find that with Scorpios, they're like 1 sentence, but here's this whole other layer of energy, and if you're not feeling that and decoding what I'm trying to say, then you're not even on my level. You're not even literally. You ain't shit. So yeah, I really feel that with Scorpio. And I do think that Scorpio can, emphasis on the word can, be escapists sometimes. They can kind of try to escape the growth sometimes. I mean, we all can, but I find that sometimes they're just like so stubborn that they're like, no, like, I'm good, thanks. But then once they do dive in, they just go so deep, and they just are so transformative in the work that they do. So that kind of like it's a bit of a seesaw, that one. But yeah, I do feel that with Scorpio.
Yes, me too. All right, Sagittarius now. I love my Sagittarius fiance, and I just want to preface this before we go into the lower octaves, because I love you very much. I've chosen to be with you for the rest of my life. Yeah, so I love you, Sagittarius. I really do. But I think a really high octave of Sagittarius energy is their willingness to learn. I think that is so admirable, and something that I really enjoy about Sagittarius is that when they're passionate about a particular topic or they're curious about something, they will dive in deep. And like, it may seem weird or like silly or frivolous about some particular topics that they go deep into, but it is really amazing just how much they learn about particular topics. I think their ability to take those topics and then share them with other people is also a really amazing quality that they have, as well as their ability to think about, like other people in particular situations. They're always thinking from a very big perspective, and it's not always so like about them. They really do think about the impact on larger society and how things kind of connect with one another. They see things from such a high perspective. I think though that sometimes that can wear them out, and being in a lower octave is like their chase and thrill for being on this planet, because they are so deeply connected to the heavens. Being on this planet is like fun for them, and it's like consequences mean nothing to a Sagittarius sometimes, and so they will go and do things that maybe people who have been here on Earth or have a lot of Earth energy would just like, we just think about that twice, and that's okay. It's totally okay. But like, just, yeah, their ability to, honestly. But anyway, it's fine. I love you. And Sagittarius sometimes, I think, can be obviously thrill seekers, but this can lead to particular dependence on like alcohol and drugs, because their mind is so broad and they really do think about things a lot. There's a tendency to escape that and just try and find some sort of like calmness within that as well. And that can lead to a dependence on drugs and alcohol.
Similar for me. Like, they give the same vibes.
They do, 100%.
Hence why we probably just sit and like complain about our partners sometimes to each other.
We're like, you
Sorry,
get it.
boys,
You totally get it.
Love you. No, I feel that. I really do. They're funny. One of the higher octaves as Saggies they have the driest sense of humor, and I do as well. So I'm always just vibing hard with my Saggy. I have a Saggy friend, and we have the same sense of humor. It's so dry and sometimes like crude, and I'm just here for it. Like, they're funny humans, and I really admire that and appreciate it. It makes me feel more normal when it comes to humor. Really brave. I really admire one of the higher octaves of theirs is bravery, and just being they're like free spirits that just cannot be contained. Could be lower octave, but I'm going to put it as a higher one, because I do find that I wish that I had more of that energy within myself. They are new every bloody day, or like trying something new, or they're like caught a plane and they're across the other side of the world and you didn't even know about it. Like, you're like, what? You're where? Where are you? You're like, what the fuck? So they're fun. They've got amazing sense of humor and like really great to talk to have deep conversations with. Like you said, I'm just echoing this, I guess, but I really do see that in Saggies as well. That innate gift of being able to really go deep in conversation with people and hold that space for the conversation to be had. I really love that. Yeah, lower octaves. Sometimes I can find they can be quite disconnected in conversation though. Like, if they're not feeling it, they're just not feeling it, and do not push it, because they will just switch off. Really kind of lower octave, I guess, aspect of Sagittarius energy is their ability just to switch off. Like, if they don't like someone or something, they can just drop that thing and move on to the next, like without the emotional attachment in it either, which for me, how do you do that? Like, teach me your ways. Like that's just so absurd to me that you can just not feel. But they just have this way of just switching it off and moving on. And I'm like, wow. But I imagine that would be quite and kind of in the same word, kind of problematic, I guess, when it comes to certain situations, and doing that, it can be pretty tough. So yeah, that's my Saggy wrap up.
I think that's so funny. That's so funny. I'm literally, every time you said something, I was like, yep, I have pinpoints in time of when that has been happened with my partner. It's so funny. Oh, I love that.
Yes. We love you, Tanita's partner. Love you. Moving on.
All right, Daddy Cap.
Daddy
I love
Cap.
Capricorn. I really do. My mum's a Capricorn. I know you're a Cap rising. So lots of Capricorn energy around. I think higher octave is obviously just the commitment to leaving an imprint on society, and a lot of the time, yes, that does come through in career, but it's more so that like they just want to be like, they want to be a part of something. They want to make their time worthwhile here on earth. And that really leads them to having this incredible ability to leave an imprint on society and leave it better than what they found it. I also think that a higher octave of Capricorn energy is their ability to coach and teach and pass on wisdom, because they are so invested in leaving an imprint. They're very wise, and they take every single situation as an opportunity to learn, and they have no problem with sharing that with others and imparting that knowledge and wisdom down. I think though a lower octave can sometimes be that they think that they are above other people and that they know best, and so you can't really tell a Capricorn what to do because they're like, you have no fucking idea, which is fine. So sometimes their ability to like take advice can be really hard, and that's just because they feel like they've spent so long learning how to do something, and they've invested so much time and energy into perfecting their ways that they're like, I don't want to give all that up for something that I don't know what you've done. Like, I don't want to take your advice right now, thanks though. And I also think a lower octave is obviously, if they don't feel like they're working to achieve something, they can be really hard on themselves and get very fixated on obviously reaching goals, yes, but also being seen as a really hard worker or somebody that's doing good things within society. They want to be seen as a good person, right? What are your highs and lows for Capricorn energy?
I feel that so much. And I have a theory on this. I have a theory on this, which I guess I'll use as my higher and lower octaves, because they fuse in together beautifully. But higher octave is the fact that they are so wide advanced, because they are like, Capricorn is the oldest and most ancient zodiac out of the 12 zodiacs. So they were here way before us. They were existing in like other realms, like way before we were. And I think that now, like, coming to Earth, you have mastered all of those upper realms. Like, you've done the spiritual thing, and that's why like Capricorns do have such a deeply intuitive spiritual side, because they have been here for eons. Like, they are the oldest, the most ancient and wise. I get like real grandfather wise energy coming through with Capricorn. And I think because they've spent so many incarnations, or even before they incarnated into physical form, like just floating in the ether, and like imbuing all of this knowledge into their consciousness, that when they come to Earth, they're like, okay, cool. Well, we've mastered all of, you know, the higher houses and the, you know, all of the upper realms. So we're just going to have some like fun in like the physical world. And then they're like, so how much can I do? Like, how much can I achieve on this, in this realm, in the physical, doing all these like, you know, really 3D sort of things. And I think that is why they are so hard on themselves, because they have mastered so much in the spiritual realms that they come here, okay, cool, I'm going to set that same standard, but for like physical goals and like goals in career and business and just, you know, personal goals. And, you know, yeah, I find that that may be why they're like that. But both of those things hold so much, but also can be a lower octave as well, because they just need to give themselves a damn break sometimes and just not take themselves so seriously. It's like, sit down, have a cocktail, have a cup of tea, put your feet up. Like, I find that a lot of the time with Capricorn energy is that they have to sit down and actually admire the work they're doing before they decide they want to go further. It's like, stop and just have a look at the harvest and see what you've created and grown, and just take a moment to stop and do and like admire that and then move on. Like, you don't need to just keep going. So yeah, I with Capricorn. But yeah, for me, the number one thing, higher octave wise, will always be their wisdom, their soul, just that ancient energy that comes through with them. They're so devoted to their practices, to, you know, what they're passionate. I really admire that as a Virgo. So.
Yeah, totally. I totally agree. All right, Aquarius. Oh, Aquarius for me is like still one of those energies that I'm getting used to. It does like rule my fourth house, as you guys know from our previous episode, but I really find Aquarius energy to be like alien on earth. Like, it's like that kind of like ET kind of energy. And I think that, of course, that can be a high and a low, because they have this like such a desire to help humanity and this incredible kind of pull to make a difference here on earth. And that really comes from partly, you know, their deep connection to the wisdom of the celestial realms and their ability to see what society needs. And this is because of sometimes what can be a lower octave is that they do feel removed from society and they are such an observer. They always kind of sit on the edge of society and see and investigate, and kind of not investigate as like Scorpio energy, but investigate in terms of like researching and taking data and understanding how different things and patterns move and how that impacts society. And so they take that, and that's why they have this incredible ability to see like what society needs to move forward. They're incredible humanitarians. But I think a lower octave is that sometimes they can feel like out of place. And like what I said in the previous episode, I'll echo that again. They feel like this world wasn't made for them. And that can be a lower octave for them. But truly it's because they were put here on earth to create a world that is for them, to move this world and change it and help support in shifting it so it is a better place. They are so much like the futuristics, but it can lead into higher and higher and lower octaves on a personal level. And I think that's really hard to juggle, you know?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I've got an Aquarius moon, and I feel like very much, I actually feel more attached to that than I do any of my, like with my other rising. I really resonate with my Aquarius moon, and a lot of the time you can feel like you are like waiting for the spaceship to arrive to take you back to your planet. You're like, bruh, we're like 30 years late. Like, when am I going back? Like, when does it happen? It's really difficult sometimes, but okay, we'll start with higher. The Aquarius are the most incredible innovators. They just think outside the box all of the time. And even, I guess, I witness it a lot in the creative space more than anything. Just their way bringing through ideas and delivering that to us, all of us commoners. It's just like, it's just incredible. It blows me away. Just the sheer edginess of what they do, like the charisma and the creative flair that they have of delivering an idea is like they take something from in here and they fuse it together and they just deliver it so beautifully and so differently that really leaves an imprint on people. And they do that a lot as well with their language and their conversation. they're really deeply impactful when it comes to them sharing a message and things like that too. So that is something I really admire about Aquarius. I also just love people that are different. Like a lot of Aquarius people that I know, like they just dress so edgy. They don't give a shit what other people think. Like they just have this aura about them where it's like, I am who I am. Like I'm just here being me, but they don't do it in a way that's like, oh, I have to be different to everyone else. Like I guess a Leo would, but or a Virgo. I'm going to go ahead and say that. But yeah, so effortlessly, and I really admire that. Now with lower octave, I feel like Aquarius can be removed from society. Like they kind of just don't really feel like they have a place. Probably because you guys are so far advanced. It's like you're dealing with shit that you've probably dealt. I mean like you're dealing with other people's shit that you've probably dealt with yourself like millions of years ago. So it's like, really, am I having to do this now? Like I am so advanced. Like why am I here dealing with this? Like hence the spaceship thing. Like take me the fuck away. I'm done with this. I've done this too many times. The next, realm. But I find that I guess it's kind of like similar to Capricorn, but except Capricorn is using their time more like in a way that's like, okay, well, what can I build while I'm here? Aquarius can feel like I've created all this stuff. Know who I am. Like, can I just leave? Like, I just want to leave. I don't want to be here. So I really feel for you guys and myself because I feel that. But yeah, so you guys can feel quite removed from society. And I feel like as well, you can be a little bit just switch off when you want to. It's like, for example, I don't think I could ever date or be with like an Aquarius like lover or partner because you don't know where that, like, you could wake up the next morning and just never hear from them again. They're like the king and queens of like ghosting people, can be so easily removed if they want to be, and they get to choose this. They're so in control about like how deep they want to go with other people in certain situations that it's like if they decide they want to exit, it's like you won't even see the smoke, like they'll just be gone. So yeah, I feel like that could be a lower.
I can totally vouch that. And I was just talking to my mum the other day. She like saw one of my ex-boyfriends who was an Aquarius. And I was like, he told me when we were in a relationship together, he's like, if you ever break up with me, you are dead to me. And I was like, okay. And he followed through with that. Like, I kid you not, it's been years that I haven't heard a peep out of him. And it's so funny and it's so true about Aquarius because it is that control factor with their emotions though, right? And sometimes that can be high,
true to their
sometimes
word,
that can be low,
sure.
I think. Yeah, that's so...
yeah,
that's
so true to their
funny.
word. Oh my goodness. Whew. And now, finally, we're at Pisces, the last one. We're here. We made it. We're here. Pisces. We love Pisces. I've got two Piscean sisters, so let's go. Let's go.
Let's go. I think Pisces energy is really hard to grasp and it's really hard to put into words.
Yeah.
It is such a energy and a frequency that we don't necessarily feel here on Earth too much in the material 3D aspect, I mean. So a high octave of that is definitely... Piscean energy has this ability to kind of connect to the deeper meaning as to why we're here. And they dive so deep. When you're with a Pisces, you're really in that moment. And sometimes that can be good and sometimes that can be a lower octave too, I think, because they are so skewed towards like, why are we here, and the deeper meaning to life, and wanting to connect to that kind of energy that we can't see or feel or touch. There's this essence that they're not really here all of the time, or they're searching for that and grasping for it and clawing for it. And sometimes it's really hard. It's like, it's hard as fuck to fill up a Pisces cup because you can't do it with anything that's here on Earth. And that sometimes can be good and it can be really, really hard to do. But I love Pisces energy for like connecting to that deeper meaning, you know?
Yeah. And then like, I'm just like, yo, I'm just waiting for my coffee.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear about that. Just can you make my coffee, please? Like lining up in a cafe and there's like a Pisces chick making my telling me about her life. I'm like, and how emotional she. I'm like,
yeah,
girl, I just want the coffee. I want to go. Anyway, carry on.
Pisces. I think also a lower octave of Pisces can be, it's really hard for them to express themselves in a way that they're truly meaning. And this is because their oceans run so deep, and that is really hard to communicate to other people. When a Pisces is talking to you, they're not just talking about what's happening in their mind, they're talking to you about what's happening in their soul, in their body, in their emotions, in their energy, in the past, in the present, and the future. And that is really hard to communicate sometimes, and really hard to grasp also, but it's such a gift because Pisces energy will push you to expand and push you to really get in touch with all parts of yourself as well.
Yeah, I feel like Pisces, like higher octave. Oh, you guys are such healers, natural healers. Even Pisces, get yourself around the Pisces kid, and I swear to God, you will walk away and you're like, wow, what just happened? Like I feel like something's removed or something's been healed. You guys are just natural healers. You know, you're like beautiful. Yeah, just it's just disgustingly beautiful. Disgustingly beautiful. But I also wish that I could copy and paste Pisces imagination sometimes, because I really just admire, you know, the inner world that's swirling around in your little heads, and I just want to be like copy paste, because I see this a lot with you. It's just like you have so many incredible ideas, and I'm just like, whoa. but then I guess lower octave is, I find this, and I see it a lot with, you know, can see with my sisters too. I'm like, fuck, are they going to listen to this? Sometimes there's too many ideas, and then it's like, just choose one to start, okay? Because you're not going to do anything if you just don't choose one. Like, choose one. You can get to the rest. It's okay. You can get to the rest later. But I find that you guys can tend too much on at once. It's like you won't take the glass of water. You'll take the whole ocean and try and create this thing out of it. And it's like, just work through one step at a time, babes. Like, it's going to be okay. Just take your time. Like, it'll all come together. So yeah, I feel like Pisces and inspiration can be so big that they can even find it hard to harness and execute it and gift it to the world in the way that they feel like they want to gift it to the world, which I guess is really sad sometimes, because again, like beautiful, beautiful, beautiful minds that just want to share and heal and hold space. But yeah, Pisces also can sometimes come across really like motherly, I find, but like unlike Cancer, they're like motherly energy that I get from them sometimes. I'm like, I don't want to hear that.
You're like, ouch.
It's like mother energy, but also they don't tell you what you want to hear. They tell you, they give it to you straight still, because there's that like kind of cutthroat energy that Virgo has as well. Like we both have that. Okay, so lower octaves, I feel that Pisces can really disassociate when they're not vibing with something.
I was waiting for the disillusionment and the disassociation to come up. I was waiting. I was not going to say a fucking thing.
You're like, it's going to hit me. No, I feel like if you guys aren't vibing, you're out. You're like, bye. Switching off.
I think that also comes from like, if it's not feeling good, we're not there either. Like, because it's not, I feel like with that tendency to escape particular scenarios, vibes really do matter to us, but it's also like everything does affect us, that watery kind of energy. We are very sensitive, and so there is a tendency to sometimes escape things that feel uncomfortable, and especially if you don't have a lot of other mutable energies in your chart, it can be really hard to kind of sit through that really uncomfortable energy.
Yeah, and commit to it as well. I find that a lot. I see with my, but one thing I do admire is that I feel like you guys have really great boundaries. Like you know when it's time to like cut someone off or step back, or you're like, okay, vibe's not great. Just gonna skip this one. Like, bye. See you never. Like, you're really good with that. But one thing that drives me crazy is the fucking grudge holding. Like, who can hold a grudge for that long? Like, I know that I'm so analytic and like so judgy sometimes, but I'm like, the next day I'm like, I love you. Where am I? Pisces are like, remember that thing you did in 2003? Yeah, well, that's why I don't like you.
Totally. I will totally stand by that. All day, every day. I'm
just like, get the fuck over it, guys. But
it's
again,
hard because we hold past so close to the present that it still hurts as bad as it would right now, you know?
Yeah, which can also be like a curse as well.
100%.
Like, it's a lot to carry and it's a lot to hold as well. Like, all of those emotions and, you know, the things that have hurt you in the past, and bottling that up. You guys are like the master bottlers. I just want to like
and you just sit back and watch us clean it up. You're like, yep.
Yep.
Oh, this has been so good. I want you guys to let us know. Like Aleisha said, do you feel called out? Do you feel seen? Let us know if this vibes with you. If it didn't, I'm so curious to hear everybody's kind of perspective on this as well. This was fun. It was really cool to see like how you kind of saw each sign and how I saw them too. And this is why I love having these dynamic conversations, because it really does bring through multiple perspectives. So this has been really fun. I can't wait. I think next week we're going to close up the series on astrology. So if you guys have any topics that you'd want us to talk about or cover, please send us a DM over at Divinely Human on Instagram. And of course, if you think this would resonate with anybody, if you want to call someone out low key, just send them this podcast episode, just quickly slide it into their DMs. We'd love to hear from you guys. You can catch us next week. We always drop episodes Monday morning at 9 a.m. on Spotify, on YouTube, on all the podcast platforms. So we'll catch you next Monday. See you guys. Bye.